So this is the first test of RoboPanner. A few words about the hardware. The hardware is very simple. Microcontroller, the switching power supply that drops voltage from 19 to 5 volts, and the stepper motor driver. The stepper motor driver chosen to be extremely quiet. Ethernet cable is used to connect stepper motor to the controller, and the camera is mounted directly on the stepper. Once you power it up, you end up at the direct control screen. As you can see, the joystick in the middle. By the way, I have here three buttons. This is a simple button, this is also a simple button, and this is a 5-way joystick. All of them are connected through analog voltage divider to the analog input of the controller. So right now I can control the position of the camera in real time. You can see that when I start touching, the speed is now -15. Now it goes up to -45. So after the long click, the speed is increasing. And I will wait until the camera will be facing one of the walls directly. And I will define a waypoint. Waypoints are used to program behavior of the stepper. So right now, camera is almost positioned to face that wall. I press the joystick and I define a waypoint. I press the joystick again. Now I move the camera to define the second waypoint. I move it all the way so that we have some meaningful differentiation. And you can see what the camera sees. By the way, I'm using Panasonic G7 right now for that camera. And when I'm satisfied with what my camera sees, I press the joystick again and I define the second waypoint, B in this case. So if I press the left button, I have a freedom to define some of the settings. There's also a small about screen. For instance, I may want to choose the pan speed increase. Instead of 15, I can set it to lower or higher, for instance 60. Maximum pan speed 50, because this is pan slow speed, pan fast speed is 3 times more, so I need to increase this to 60. You notice that the battery indicator changed. Right now I'm running debugging code that does nothing but change the value. The battery indicator will be used later when I will be using battery as opposed to laboratory power supply. So I changed the acceleration to say 20 and I press OK. So now, as you can see, my speed is really fast. It's all the way to 60. And I define waypoint C. So now I have 3 waypoints, A, B, and C. So I'm now at C. I can go to waypoint A by just pressing the joystick. It goes all the way, and you can see how speed is raising gracefully, by the way. It's this stepper controller, which is responsible for graceful movement of the camera. Note how smooth the camera is moving and totally quietly. So it goes all the way to that position corresponding to waypoint A. Notice how upon approaching the speed will fall, so that the camera slows down very gracefully. Nice. Now it stopped. Okay, and finally let's go to the program. So this is a program that will be executed automatically. I set the maximum speed, acceleration, and then I need to define where the camera will go. So in this specific case, the camera will be executing a loop where the camera will sit, it will go to waypoint A, and it will take up to 50 seconds to do it. And once the waypoint A is reached, the camera will be sitting there for 10 seconds. Then it will go to waypoint C, and it will wait for 50 seconds to achieve that. And once there, the panner will stand in that position for 10 seconds. And that's the end of the loop. So let's see how this loop is executed. So the camera is already in the position 344, and that's why it's resting. So just sitting there recording video. Now it goes to this other waypoint. You can see the target. It's -68. This is position. The current position for pan, and speed at which it does that. So you can see it already started slowing down. It's sitting there resting. Now rest has come to the end, and it goes to the another waypoint. Oh, look at this. Look how it vibrates. This is interesting. That is not expected. And interestingly enough, vibration happens only in one direction. No, vibration happens here as well. Fascinating. I'm not clear what is the source of the vibration, but I'm sure somebody knows. Fascinating. So mechanical part is definitely imperfect. I'm not clear on the source of the vibration. Maybe the motor is underpowered. You can see that the system consumes now 234 milliamp, which may not be enough. Yeah, I clearly observe vibration now. So this, by the way, this heatsink is totally hot. So this stepper controller, as I mentioned, I chose it for to be extremely quiet in its micro stepping. This motor is actually performs 1.8 degree step, but the controller is now configured to use micro stepping. Fascinating. So probably the motor is underpowered. Well, nevertheless, these are the results. The software works. The mechanical part, however, clearly requires improvement. By the way, notice that when I'm on some of the screens which do not require use of the motor, note how the power consumption drops. Because this screen is not used to control the motor, the software disables this stepper controller, thus saving more than 50% of the energy. Interestingly enough, in the direct control mode, I do not see this vibration at all. So I'm moving camera at the speed of 50 with no problems whatsoever. The speed is 20, which goes up to 50, because the maximum speed was limited to 50. Let's try to figure out at what speed do we observe the vibration. Ooh, the screen did not repaint itself well. So speed is not that bad, it's actually very slow. Okay, so here the speed increases at about 30. I see vibration, which is all the way to minus 50. The motor is not hot at all. Fascinating. At about 30 I see vibration. So under 30, when I have speed at about 20, I don't have problems with vibration. Well, let's see, maybe I can change. So let's modify this program, change this maximum speed from 50 to 20, right? Let's see whether this will allow me to avoid the vibration. And I can actually increase acceleration to 20, just for the sake of it. Again, between waypoint A and waypoint C minus 68. Go. So my speed is immediately at 20. And I do observe vibrations, but very, very minor. It could be even me. Okay, so it was resting. Now it's moving in the opposite direction. Speed is 20. It's doing it pretty well, pretty smoothly. As a matter of fact, I think for all intents and purposes, this is more than sufficient speed. So it's moving in the opposite direction. Speed is 20. Look how smooth the movement is. I need to refocus that camera. Power consumption is 200 milliamp. This thing is hot to the touch. I don't think I can. This thing, everything works okay, except I have the software bug to fix. Well, this pretty much concludes the first trial run of RoboPanner. Okay, I'll talk to you later.